Greetings, everyone. I'm Jonathan,
I'm Nick.
and we are the Goslings, a digital speakeasy of esoterica, authors, freethinkers, and general buffoonery and weirdos.
Yeah, for sure. All those things.
And you are watching what is formerly known as Thirsty Thursdays, your midweek morphine drip of all things Goslings, with spice melange added for extra flavor. But
Spice melange.
also, in honor of our guest tonight, the timing has worked out perfectly to where the Thursday live stream is now called The Church of What's
The
Cool.
Church of What's Cool.
Welcome to The Church of What's Cool, as brought to you by the Ministry of the Broken Sword.
That's right. I know that's going to irritate some Christians.
Oh, I know.
So much.
Yeah, there's some Bible thumper right now who's just like, you know.
Yeah, leave your comments. It helps. Leave your comments. It's good.
Yeah,
comments.
you
good.
don't understand how much we enjoy the nasty comments. Okay, cool. Let's burn through everything because we kind of got a late start and we really want to have a lot of fun with our guests tonight, which we'll introduce you to in just a minute if you don't already know from reading the title.
That's right. That's right. First, let's do our toast.
Yes.
Grab your drinking vessels, as we always do. Lift them.
Mm-hmm.
And take up the broken sword of your father.
And strike down the darkness.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bourbon at 8 p.m. is way better than coffee at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
I'll take that any day.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Same thing at 8 a.m. Take up the broken sword of your finger and strike down the subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're watching and you haven't subscribed, please do. That really helps. Also, give the bell a good old smack.
That's right. Smack that bell. Smack it like it owes you money. Is Wayne Brady going to have to choke a bell?
Keep your YouTube, is it?
Yeah, keep your YouTube pimp hand strong.
Yeah.
Smack that bell.
And if you've already done those things, just hit the like button. That would help tremendously. We would really appreciate it. It tells the algorithm, the powers that be, our tech overlords. It tells the chief priests of the cult that this is something worth watching. And that would really help us a lot. So having said that, real quick, I want to just mention our sponsor. These are the Kothon Spartan. Oh, look at my stupid water glass in the way. Idiot. All right.
Mason jar is brought to you by...
Yeah, this mason jar is brought to you by Bell or Ball. I don't know. These are the Kothon Spartan mugs. These are beautiful. Everyone is made by hand. Mm-hmm. They were handcrafted, hand painted by Joel Cherico and his team at ChericoPottery.com. Designed in collaboration with Stephen Pressfield to be the replica, the closest thing we know to what the Spartans drank out of. Go check them out. Get yourself a Kothon. Drink like a man. Get a Kothon Spartan mug.
That's right. And after you wipe your libation from your Leonodian beard, you can imbibe the great products of Giordani Jovanovic. Hair and skincare products made by real men for real men. Or as I like to say, be as sexy as you are deadly. Give 007 a run for his money. Awaken your inner John Wick with JordaniJovanovic.com. Mike Fisher is the owner of Giordani Jovanovic, and he is a dear friend of ours and the channel. I talked to him on the phone for an hour earlier today. Nice. He texted me, and then I called him, and then like a real man, he picked up the phone.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, out of nowhere. It was awesome. I always enjoy talking to him, and he's a big supporter of the channel. We got some cool things in the works, by the way. Some extra stuff that we're going to be working on with Giordani Jovanovic here pretty soon.
Very
pretty
cool.
Excited about. So in the meantime, Mike and JordaniJovanovic.com, they always take care of us. Do them a solid and go buy some stuff for the men in your life, whether it's hair growth serum, which Nick is using right now, and you can actually tell.
Father's Day is only a week and a half away, guys.
Yep, that's right.
JordaniJovanovic.com.
Now's the time. And Nick kind of looks like
Wolfman Jack.
You look like Mr. Hyde from the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I got the burns.
Yes.
I got the burns.
He's got, we really
Give
are.
it a couple months. It'll come in.
I'll have to go like clean shaven so that we can then really look like
you're still
Master and Commander.
Yours would grow so much faster they wouldn't last. That would last like a week.
Not with my testosterone levels. Dip after 40, let me tell you, baby.
That's real. That's a real thing.
Yeah. So anyways, okay, cool. we'll move on here.
Real quick in the chat, just wanted to give a shout out to Tricky.
Yeah, Tricky.
Watching. Cactus is watching. Carrie Ryan is watching.
That's right.
Good evening, guys. Jay Reese is watching. She says, "Wow." Fantastic.
Jay Reese's whale joke on our first, I think it was our first episode of
That's hilarious.
Thirsty Thursday is hilarious. Yeah, and you just got finished talking to Jay.
I did. Yep,
yeah,
I was on her
channel.
Yep.
JRB Live.
Yep. Talking about AI.
Yeah. So go check that out.
Don't like it. Don't like it at all.
All right.
Let's bring on our guest.
Yes.
Some of you guys know him. You've seen him before. If you've not, Pete from Dark Sayings.
Yeah.
Formerly Creepy Little Book.
Yeah.
Let's bring him on.
Yes.
The man.
The myth. The legend.
Good evening. I can't do it like you.
I'm still muted. There we go. How do you do?
What's up, Pete? How you doing,
Good to see
buddy?
Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I am doing fantastic. I'm very glad to be here. I was very excited today. I'm looking forward to this all day. Very happy to be here again.
Yeah.
We've been looking forward to. And normally, the last couple times we've interviewed you, it's been like dark background, shrouded in dark. I'm seeing like color. What's going on?
The curtain broke.
The
curtain broke.
That's a great background you got going.
The stands that hold it up just kind of gave out on me, and I've been meaning to replace it, but I haven't decided whether I want to spring for a deluxe version of the curtain in the hopes that it will last longer than a year, or the one I keep buying that lasts only about a year. I guess maybe they're not meant to be put up every single day. I don't know how it works. I get them from a reputable supplier. It's just they tend to give out, and it's only one pole every time. So, when I replace it, I'll wind up with 3 good working ones. It's just it's a whole rigmarole.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, this seems. I'm a little disappointed in curtain quality, to be honest with you. It seems like it should just work for years.
It should. Did it now? Jay Reese says the curtain tore. Did it tear from bottom to top or from top to bottom?
I still have it. It's balled up in the bottom of a closet. It did not tear. Nothing biblical occurred. We're fine.
Okay.
But the damn pole that holds it up just gave out on me again.
Were you live when that happened?
I was about to go live, so I kind of leaned it up against the wall, and I had the illusion that it was still standing up. It worked for the time being, but I actually got a very generous super chat to replace it.
Nice.
And it's just like I haven't decided if I kind of want to yet.
Yeah.
I kind of like the background, and it saves me a little time every night not having to set it up.
That's true.
Well,
The background looks good. It's like distant, right?
Mhm.
It's not like a wall right up against the back of you. It's good. It gives it dimension, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about YouTube, but I think it looks good.
Well, thank you.
Well, I like the setup in the back too. You have various iconography. It looks like going on in the background.
Oh yeah, I got all kinds of weird stuff. I think Gilgamesh is up here. We got Osiris.
Mm-hmm.
We've got who else? Thoth.
Yeah.
There's a Mercury. There's a crucifix. We got Mithra in the form of boundless time.
My goodness.
Also the Abraxas. On the other side, I got a little Aztec serpent. This is Metatron up here.
Oh wow.
Just and a little square thing up there is a relief of Ishtar. So it's a nice little collection. I wanted to do kind of very inspired by the Anthropological Museum of Philadelphia at the University of Pennsylvania. One of my favorite places in the world, actually where I proposed to my wife. But
Really?
yeah, they have a fantastic collection of ancient relics and artifacts.
Very
everything
cool.
from Mesoamerica to the ancient Greeks. It's all there.
That's awesome.
What period of time most interests you?
I just love antiquity.
Just
I
antiquity
can't
in
even pick a favorite. The Sumerians in ancient Babylonia, probably because they were the first.
Yeah.
But of course, the Egyptians hold many mysteries for us, and who were the Olmecs? What was going on with the pre-Adamites, if you will? I entertain some wild theories.
Yeah.
We noticed.
That's one of the reasons why we love you so much, Pete. What is the so that was kind of one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. We'll get to that in a second, but I want to ask you, you had Creepy Little Book for a long time, and you recently made the change over to Dark Sayings, and Dark Sayings has a different format now in a couple of ways. That's different from Creepy Little Book, but it's inspired, it seems like, still a little bit by Creepy Little Book. Why the change over to Dark Sayings?
Well, first and foremost, I never really liked Creepy Little Book as a title. I was, it was the best of everything that I was coming up with at the time, and it just kind of worked for what I was doing. So I kind of stuck with it for a very long time, and Dark Sayings was something that kind of floated around in my head for years. If I ever was to change the name. So what had happened is I realized that getting lumped in with like spooky Halloween for kids and creepy ghost stories for toddlers, stuff like that on YouTube. To kind of break that, I thought the best thing to do would be to rebrand the channel.
Yeah.
And when I did that, it almost coincided with the fact that for years I've been doing these deep dives on various topics, things I've covered, very extensive.
Yeah.
So I needed to do something fresh, just to keep me interested in what I was doing. I was kind of running out of topics to sit around and talk about for an hour each night without repeating them ad nauseum, and I feel like I've already kind of repeated myself with some topics to death. So the change in format was kind of a natural thing. I was kind of stuck for a topic one night, and I said, let me go through the news and see what strange occurrences have happened today, expecting I could maybe get one show a week out of that. That grew to 2, and I was still doing deep dives 2 nights, and then eventually I'm like, you know what, 4 nights a week we're doing crazy news. That's it. So what I like about it is it's always something new. It's relevant to what's actually happening in the world, and it keeps me on my toes. So that's kind of with the various changes that I've made since the rebrand.
Well, and even when you had Creepy Little Book, it started out as these 5 to 10 minute long, very nicely edited, sort of truncated videos on specific topics, whether it was the Ark of Gabriel or the Nephilim or just Ishtar or anything really. And then you sort of changed formats. I want to say 3 years ago, maybe, to where you started doing more just like pure live streams and interactive things with the audience. And that was always a lot of fun too. And it really was more like interactive in the chat than it was just, here's the material, there you go kind of thing. And so it kind of seemed like it was about time for some sort of like next stage evolution of the channel.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm approaching my 9th year on YouTube. It'll be 9 years in September.
Nice.
Cool.
And I said to myself, I'll do at least 10. I'll do 10 and then I'll reevaluate. And even with this rebranding, I said to myself, am I going to rebrand or am I going to retire? And I thought, well, you know what? I'll at least give it another 16 months. Let me make it to that 10-year anniversary before I make any wild decisions. Because then I have to figure out what to do with my time if I don't do this. So maybe I'll get those books done. Who knows?
And then you can just be on our channel and we'll promote them for you.
I mean,
there we go. Problem solved.
Problem solved.
And I think
it's built in.
If I remember correctly, I think you read a chapter from your novel that you've been working on right before you made the change over to Dark Sayings. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe I read the first 4 paragraphs of the prologue.
Yeah.
It was, which is really unrelated to the story until much later. It's like a little crumb of information.
It was good.
It doesn't make sense until much later in the story.
I'm looking forward to it. I hope I live long enough to see, the Pete novel, because it was good.
It ran 10 years to do Atlas Shrugged, right? So,
dude, it took me 20 years to get Empyrean Falling published.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah.
So, dude, I understand totally. Can
you give us like a high level overview? What it's about,
elevator pitch,
without giving anything away.
It's kind of it's kind of like a sci-fi fantasy thing going on. Very, very low tech sci-fi. Very grounded fantasy. So essentially, the story takes place in a world that's been ravaged by a supervolcanic earthquake, and eruption, specifically the Yellowstone one.
Yeah.
And it's set in a period after that has occurred. Some years later when society is rebuilt and things have kind of settled. It's in a balkanized United States where certain forms of travel are non-existent anymore. There's no more air travel. There really aren't any more cars. The society is kind of structured into city states, and it's focused on essentially a core group of, for lack of a better term, masters of the esoteric, and they each have their own kind of motivations, but there is a central MacGuffin they must acquire from Mount Shasta, and the story is about their journey from the east coast of what was the United States towards what's left of California to reach this mountain, to the ruins of the city of Telos built by the Lemurians, to retrieve this MacGuffin. There is a lot of intrigue. There are characters based on real people that were famous occultists. There are characters that are entirely my own invention. There are several characters who are immortal, inspired by legends of real life immortals. Everything from Count Saint Germain to the man who was cursed by Christ to wander until the second coming. So it's kind of like that. There are some there isn't really a central antagonist in the story except for time. They don't have time to do what they need to do. And that's without giving too much away, because I'm really playing it close to the vest until it's ready to go. It is called The God of the High Places, so at least I have a title for it.
It's a good name.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that.
Dude.
And you've been working on it how long?
Years now. I can't even tell you. Let me see.
Before YouTube?
My son's 6, so since prior to his birth.
Okay.
So yeah.
Wow.
It's like 6 years.
Yeah. Did your involvement making Creepy Little Book sort of inspire or motivate you to make a novel, or was this something that was in your brain percolating even before Creepy Little Book, both as a channel and as an actual creepy little black book that you used to carry around?
I still carry the book. It's right here.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's full of notes. It's nice. It's got a little slot for your pen and everything.
That's so
right in there. I always wanted to write a novel. I was a big reader as a kid. I still try to read as much as possible now. A lot more electronically than actual physical books. Although I do prefer physical books.
Same.
So, it was really one of my goals to accomplish a novel before I crap out. And, the story kind of evolved out of the research.
Yeah.
I was inspired by all these different people I was delving into their lives for. One that really stood out to me was Pascal Beverly Randolph. He was a Rosicrucian from the Fraternus Rosis Crucius in Quakertown, Pennsylvania. They even have a building named after him that still stands now. They got pyramids there and a big rose garden. It's wild stuff. But he published over 65 books on the esoteric, and he died under mysterious circumstances. He was also friends with Lincoln and rode on Lincoln's funeral train, but he was black, so they kicked him off the train. He was orphaned at a very young age, living in New York City, and became like a cabin boy on a boat, traveled the world. And during his travels, he learned of the various different occult secrets that, were so prominent in the East. I think somebody quoted, because he was not a European, he had access to places and obtain that kind of knowledge,
Right.
But he's a fascinating character. Pascal Beverly Randolph, the Rosicrucian. And he does make an appearance in my novel as well.
Okay.
I'm writing that name down because that sounds fascinating. Over 60 or 65 books.
Yeah, 65 books.
Here's a question every aspiring author hates. When do you think you're going to have it done?
I'll probably die before it's finished.
I know, right?
My sugar intake and my blood pressure dictate that I better hurry on that book if I ever want to get it done before the big one hits.
Understood. Yep.
It's a ticking time bomb. Who knows?
Every pump is just a tick on the clock. Yep. And the fingers start tingling. Yeah, I know. That's all right.
So when you did the rebranding, You came up with dark sayings.
Yeah.
Where'd you come up with that? What inspired that?
Oh, that actually comes from the Psalms. Is the Psalms or the Proverbs? Now I sound foolish because I don't remember exactly what it was. Hold on. No, it's the Psalms. It's Psalm 78:2. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old.
Ooh, nice.
I love that. Psalm 78. Cool.
That's cool. What do you think the meaning is behind that? Do you have any thoughts on that? Aside from it just being cool.
You know, the way it was explained, I watch this guy on YouTube a lot. His name is Bill Donahue on the and his channel is associated with a website called Hidden Meanings.
Yes.
And he's done an extensive, talk on the origin of the phrase dark sayings and its meaning. And the way he kind of described it was, we have our own dark sayings in our language. Like if I say we're going to chew the fat or shoot the, we both understand that to mean we're going to have a conversation. But if 6,000 years went by and someone was translating the transcript of our conversation, they might assume that we're actually going to use a firearm on livestock or chew on a piece of fat. And these are kind of how the dark sayings work. They are perhaps colloquialisms or phrases that make sense to a people at a specific time and place, but may have a deeper meaning that we as people so far removed from that language and that culture don't necessarily understand.
Yeah. I think I had a line in one of the novels that was like, it was something like a black dog, so the idiom lopes, and it's like, it makes sense if you understand like what a black dog is, as far as like a haunting thing, and dog and loping, but like it's, yeah.
And it makes you think too. I mean, that was David writing that.
Yeah.
David uttering dark sayings from how long before David?
Yeah. That and the idea of Genesis 6, the mighty men of old.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking 6 chapters into Genesis. How old are we talking?
Right.
Mighty men of old. But then I was curious about the distance of time between the fall and the flood, and that's like 1,665 years. So a lot could have happened in that period of time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the time between the flood and when, that story is being recorded,
Oh, yeah.
So it's, yeah. That is one of the interesting things, is the constant back and forth about the age of the earth, as it relates to the Bible and the cosmology and all that. And I always go back and forth. On either, a young earth, old earth, or like even pre-Adamic Genesis 1:1, 1:2 earth. You almost get like lost in all this stuff where you're like, oh, maybe that thing's real, and
I
think
exactly what you mean.
Those genealogies in Genesis that people glance over, like if you look at how they overlap, it's really interesting to think that like after the flood, Noah lived another 100 years, like Derek Gilbert was talking about.
Yeah.
Like during the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
Like Noah was still alive during that time. He knew what was going on. He saw them trying to, ensure that God would never flood the world again, so they could build a tower. Now Noah was alive. What was he thinking?
Yeah.
You idiots.
Yeah.
I was on the boat. You idiots.
Could you go hang with Noah and be like, Noah, you seen this over here? Have I seen it?
Noah, hand me that brick. I've already done all of my building. I'm not building anymore. I paid my dues.
It's like an old man whose knee starts to hurt whenever the rain is coming. Like anytime Noah's knee starts to hurt, everybody's like, "Do we need to get the crew? What do we need to do here?" So one of the things I wanted to ask you, Pete, is kind of a 2-part question. I was really curious about this. We've talked about it in the past, how you have a background in Catholicism, right? And did your Catholic background, and forgive me if I'm re-asking a question, but did your background in Catholicism influence Creepy Little Book?
I think it's influenced my interest in the supernatural entirely.
Yeah.
Catholicism is very open to the supernatural aspects of the divine. It's very celebrated. There's all kinds of miracles, apparitions, And with that in mind, being raised in that faith, you know, you learn about these from such a young age, and it's always, I was saying this to somebody last night. I am forever haunted by the angels and saints. I will never escape them. They were always ingrained into me, you know, and it's probably the initial spark that got me curious into the supernatural to begin with.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And then you kind of moved away from Catholicism for a while, right?
Yeah, I was lapsed, and then I would say, you know, I was an atheist, but not necessarily, you know, because I was angry at God or anything like that. It was like I just lost my faith, you know, like I just, you know, really.
I did too.
I just couldn't, you know, like it was impossible. It was like a dry well, you know, like you can't draw water out of the dry well. And that's exactly what it was, just the dryness of spirit. And that's something that, you know, I found again, probably around the time my kids were born.
Yeah.
That's pretty life-changing, you know. And once you're invested in the future like that, I think it's hard not to embrace something bigger than you.
Yeah.
Well,
it does. And you know, the sad thing is materialists and atheists would say, you know, well, that's just a cognitive reframing device that you're using, you know, because now you have kids. But the person who believes in the numinous says, like, no, me witnessing my child being born and me bringing this life via love into the world has, like, reconnected me with an ability to understand and appreciate God, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
It's such a tough fight. I have this battle sometimes in my family where, you know, we have this not with this guy, but, you know, we have this conversation. I'm like, yeah, I don't know how to get you to see it from my side. But, so you came back to the faith once you had kids, which is like God's way of saving us from ourselves in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
and then you start, you know, and then you do Creepy Little Book, and you're doing Creepy Little Book, and then you do Dark Sayings. And in the process of you doing Dark Sayings, especially with your reading of the Bible, do you look at the Bible now with your backlog of Creepy Little Book esoterica and see it through like that sort of a lens, or do you see it through totally fresh eyes?
Well, you know, I've read the King James a couple times, and for my series on the Bible that I'm doing live on Sunday nights, I use the Dewey Reams 1899. It's the it's a Catholic one. It's like a traditionalist Catholic Bible. It's not the one that the Novus Ordo Church uses now, but it was the one that was used for a couple hundred years, and I like the language. It's very concise. It's more modern. And it's, in my opinion, a more accurate translation of the Vulgate. So that's the one I've been using. It also contains all the books. There are 72 books in the Catholic Bible. I believe the King James contains 66. Yeah. So, it's everything that, Luther ripped out because, he was an apostate priest who wanted to sleep with a nun and didn't like listening to the Pope.
Yeah, but she was really hot, Pete. I mean, come on.
I'm sure she was. So he ripped out a bunch of pages in the Bible that support Catholicism, and then King James comes along, and that's the Bible that they wrote, and that's the Bible a lot of people use. But I've been using the Dewey Reams, and I think that this read through, there's a lot less skimming. I think when you're reading by yourself with the intention of kind of getting through it, it's a little different than when you're reading with the purpose of, presenting it to others. So with that, I'm very conscious of each word because, I'm trying to provide an entertaining delivery. And at the same time, I don't want to screw anything up. So, I don't want things or flub words, especially because I'm live. So I'm very careful in this reading to be accurate. And, with that in mind, there is a certain amount of additional information you glean. Like, I never really paid attention to the genealogies before. And they are rather dull. I'm not going to pretend they're not. But when you see that, and somebody asked me in my chat, I don't see the spiritual aspect of this book talking about Genesis. I can absolutely see somebody would feel that way when we're reading genealogies, because this is essentially the story of a people. This is a historical account of a wellspring of people that comes from one guy.
Yeah.
And I think that there are certain aspects of spiritual lessons we can take away, but it's not exactly like Jesus delivering the Beatitudes. It's not exactly like Moses delivering the Ten Commandments. It's it's a little different. And that's kind of what I explain to people who show up for my Bible show. This is not a book. It is a library of books that span genres.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not necessarily just getting a list of rules of how to live. I mean, Leviticus is kind of like that. But there are stories of adventure. There are stories of betrayal. There are stories of intrigue. There are there are spies. There are giants. There are monsters. There's all kinds of elements to these stories that I think people can resonate with, and I don't think many people actually take the time to read it.
Yeah,
I agree.
They just don't. I mean. So often I hear people critique Christians and say, you're supposed to be loving, you're supposed to be Christian. And I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pete. You don't tell
what
me what my Christianity is if you're not a Christian.
Yeah. I mean, how you have no idea what you're talking about. So, Deus Vult, like Crusades and all that good stuff.
Yes, baby. Keep say it slower, Pete.
So,
we take Constantinople, my friends.
Are you reading it? Are you? That was awesome. That was awesome. Are you reading cover to cover? You going to start cover to? Okay.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. We just finished Exodus.
Okay.
That took 5 or 6 weeks. I'm not quite sure. It's, 5 or 6 shows. We're starting Leviticus this Sunday.
Okay.
Nice.
I'm hoping to bang it out in 3 shows. We will see.
Oof. Yeah.
I might go a little longer just so I can, get through it in a minimum number of shows, so we can get on to I think Deuteronomy is next. Leviticus, then Deuteronomy. But we're just going to go cover to cover. I'm looking forward to getting into Judges, especially and the New Testament especially. But we got to lay down the foundation first. So cover to cover, I'm going to find all these different thumbnails to do it too. That's not been a challenge at all.
Yeah, there are only so many Gustave Doré engravings.
Yeah, for real.
There are only so many Rembrandts that you can pull.
Yeah.
You might have to start dipping into the Hieronymus Bosch.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I'm going to have to start drawing them myself, crude stick figures.
Yeah,
standing around in place of Isaiah in his fiery chariot.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
I have
that's been kind of easy so far. The art based on Exodus is pretty plentiful.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, you could always reach out to Roxana. She'd probably be happy to do some paintings or charcoal sketches for you.
Oh yeah. When you get into the prophets and all the weird things that they're seeing,
dude,
it's going to be easy to come
Pete
up with
to
stuff.
get to the prophets.
Yeah.
Like, because Pete, you have such a prophet, a prophet vibe.
Oh, well, thank you.
Like Pete is like you always struck me as like, especially with the Black Curtain, like the wizard who just came out of like the transdimensional fantasy holding like the glowing arc stone of oblivion. And he's like, I'm here to tell you the secrets of the cosmos that I've discovered and warn you all of the great fire plague. So
if they cast you.
Yeah, I will admit, I was on a website the other day called oldshillelagh.com. They do sell wizard staffs as well.
There's my shillelagh.
Even one of my viewers messaged me, asked me if I wanted a wand. They were at a wand store, and I wanted to know if I wanted to. I said, I don't really have use for a wand, but I appreciate the thought. I don't even know what I do with it. Like, I guess just display it would be my only option. I'm not about to draw circles in my basement and start doing that kind of crazy business. I like to research the esoteric. I don't practice
there you
it.
go.
Right. Yeah. What's one?
And I think for a while some people got that confused. Somebody asked me one day, they thought my channel was all about black magic. I'm like, what?
I know. Yeah. Dude. We get some hilarious comments. Nick and I are thinking about like maybe starting like a wall of shame of comments for the Patreon.
Yeah,
Of
for
just
our
like,
patrons.
yo, dude, we get
Such a
like
good
some
idea.
awesome, just drive-by shootings comments, of just ghetto blaster comments of just like, I don't know how many times I have to tell you, King Charles is not the Antichrist, or it's like, all right, it's funny. It's just funny, like when you run a YouTube channel, the kinds of things that you run into, because the internet has, what do you call it? Screen courage or window?
Well,
It's
what do I
like
call
windshield courage,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, courage behind glass.
Yeah.
Digital courage.
Digital courage.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
The
that
glass
road rage
effect.
thing.
The glass effect.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah. That's so funny too, because like people think that if you just talk about a thing, you're promoting it because you believe in it. And it's like, how do you ever discuss anything if that's like how the table is being set up?
Yeah.
Well, that actually speaks to how I prefaced my show last night. And I say this from time to time so people are aware. I don't believe in 85% of the things I talk about.
Thank you.
So when we get into ghosts and aliens and Bigfoot and, the different phenomena that occur, strange lights in the sky, all, USOs and all that weird stuff, I don't believe in 85% of it. Now, the 15% I do believe in is kind of bananas.
So that's what I wanted to ask you about, Pete, because you mentioned this right at the beginning. What's the 15%, baby? What's the stuff that is totally bananas?
For the most part, it has to do with the antediluvian world and advanced technology. It's nothing scandalous. I just think that like the Bible says, there's nothing new under the sun. I think there was 1,600 years for people to have completed pretty advanced technology on the face of the earth before some cataclysmic natural event knocked it all backwards into prehistory. And I think that's been supported. I know, not to get into too much of this, but there's been a lot of news about extraterrestrials and UFOs in the last few days.
Yeah.
And one of the claims that was being made is that one of these recovered craft supposedly was over 12 million years old, and that it was part of an archaeological discovery. Now, I don't think that's really that crazy. But then again, I don't think these things come from space either.
Right.
I used to. Now I'm less and less convinced that they're traveling through the vastness of space to get here. Either they're from here and they have the ability to blend in or hide in plain sight or something like that. Or there's something else entirely, maybe a non-corporeal, non-human intelligence, celestial being, some kind of, demon, for lack of a better term. I don't know how in 1947 they went from look at that thing up in the sky to it's got to be from outer space.
Right. Yeah. Well, and there was a book that I bought at a Goodwill one time that was written in, I want to say, the 70s, that proposed the theory that alien craft was from the ocean. It was from underwater. So even like, the aquatic alien angle it's not like that's a new invention of the past 10 or 20 years or anything, Not
at all. I think my only issue with the aquatic theory is that these creatures in the ocean don't have any way to manipulate the elements. We can do that here on land. We can make fire, There's no way a dolphin is down there clanging two shells together and he's ever going to get fire. It's never going to happen. So without the ability to manipulate the elements, I don't see how there could be any kind of advanced, subaquatic civilization unless it, originated on land and moved underwater. But that's so impractical. Right. I mean, it would seem like it would make more sense to move underground.
Yeah.
And then if you did move underground, why would you continue to stay there?
Yeah.
It seems to me that, unless the earth is truly hollow inside and contains an entire inner world, there's huge subterranean cave systems. There might be honeycombs of caves all over the world. But, why stay there? Why not rise up and take back the surface if you've been here all this time and you have such advanced technology?
That was, I remember the first time we had you on our channel, we talked about Hollow Earth. And that was just one thing that I've had in my head since. It's like, we have no idea.
No clue.
under it?
I used to think space was real. Now I don't know. Now I think.
I mean, honestly, right?
Yeah. How do we know there's a core? How do we know that for real? And a mantle.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like, oh, they can tell us the weight of the Earth or of a star. I don't understand how that works. It's like, it just seems like it might as well be abracadabra to me, you know? Like, oh, we calculated the distance and weight of the star. Oh, it's 10 times the size of the Earth. I know because the light bounced off the star and back to our satellite.
That is the greatest, like, smug professor impersonation. Hey, I didn't know we were interviewing Sam Harris. All right, yeah, nice.
There's nothing that
it's just unreal.
NASA ever built could ever not work the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't look like baling wire and tinfoil.
Excuse me.
I like that because that was mean.
Excuse me.
There was Challenger, and then what was the other one? There were two.
Challenger's the one that blew up in '85.
Yeah, but there was another one that blew up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Right? Maybe it was Endeavor. Yeah, it was after.
Yeah, years and years later. It was the last one or something. That's why they stopped, isn't it?
Yeah.
The last one that they did? Was it the last one that they did?
I think so, yeah.
Well, they don't have any anymore, as far as I know. I mean, they're only in museums now.
It belongs in a museum.
NASA belongs in a museum.
Well, that really is the thing that that starts to put a crack in the veneer. America in Cars, one of our friends on the channel, he calls it demon math. He's like, dude, everything's like billions and billions of miles away, and it's all unvettable because it's all so extreme. It's like the Warhammer 40K of math. Everything is just like way out there, and then there's all these like weird numerological things about like the rotation of the Earth, the angle of the Earth, and and how it all sort of adds up to these. And I'm not too convinced with numbers because you can kind of manipulate numbers to be whatever. But when it's like 6 billion miles away, like that's so inaccessible, you can't disprove it. So, I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you, man. Yeah,
I'm dubious. I'm very dubious.
And that's how things. Yeah, dubious is the perfect way to describe it, and we call ourselves writers. But like you get to a point where especially over the past few years with what all has been going on, where you start to mistrust the government so much that you say, I don't know if like flat Earth is real, but I know NASA's not telling the truth.
I made a video years ago where I was very critical of the flat Earth, but there's a lot of swearing and insulting. It's like 4 minutes of me just losing my mind over the flat Earth.
This sounds awesome. By the way,
I privated it. You can't even see it on the channel anymore because I don't want to get a strike for it.
Yeah, fair.
But it's the idea of the firmament is interesting to me. But I don't think the world's flat. Is there maybe a dome around it that you can't get past? I don't know. Does this maybe extend out into space a little bit? Is it, past the moon? Is it just right where Earth meets it, where the sky meets space? I don't know. But I very much wonder about the existence of all these objects, these gas clouds, these planets. All of this is supposed to exist in a vacuum.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Right.
How does that work? And then to reconcile that, they come up with all these insane theories like dark matter. It's all right. Oh man. Oh jeepers, it's all dark matter.
90% of the universe is dark matter.
Yeah, it's all dark matter. Man.
And we created this like laser telescope that can cut into the fabric of reality of space to like observe the dark matter. Oh, and by the way, we need $20 billion.
It just feels like a theory somebody came up with after they smoked a little giggle bush,
Yeah, or drank some adrenochrome, whichever.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
there's that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm kind of the same way when it comes to the Earth. Of like, now I lean more towards flat Earth. You lean more towards hollow Earth. But when it comes to space, I'm just like, it may be like water. I mean, especially after Operation Fishbowl. Wasn't that the ones where they shot nukes at the atmosphere to try and they were like testing nukes back in the 50s?
they they blasted a warhead up into the atmosphere to see what would happen if they, shot one off in space. And let's not forget, they bombed the moon a couple of years back.
Oh, really?
Did they really?
Yeah.
A nuke on the moon?
It wasn't a nuke. Officially, it was a satellite with a deployable section that was meant to impact the lunar surface for the purpose of kicking up surface water so that satellite in orbit could measure how much water it kicked up. But they did this like twice, and it's just they just dropped a bomb on the moon, man.
Right? Yeah.
That's all they did. Like, I know why. Was it because there was something up there?
I bet there was like 1 million babies born that night.
Super moon.
Yeah,
That's what happened. That's what the real reason is behind the blood moons.
right.
Is we're just moon nuking.
Blood moons. That sold 1 million books. That blood moon nonsense.
Oh my
Oh
god.
yeah, the John Hagee stuff.
Dude.
John Hagee. What was his name? Jonathan Kahn.
Jonathan Kahn.
Yeah.
Both of them. They
They got into it. That was
big
like
money off of that.
8-9 years ago.
Yeah, I think like 2015, something like that.
Yeah, because Jeff Anderson, our dad's first apprentice, was doing the music for a Blood Moon documentary.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
and the music was the only good part
Yeah,
about
the
the
music was the best part,
documentary.
yeah.
I mean, he's very good. We love Jeff. Lives here in Spring Hill, actually.
yeah,
Shout out to Jeff Anderson, who's definitely not watching this right now.
Yeah, I'm sure he's not. Yeah, but these guys, they have an enormous television presence. They know the Bible, so they take something ominous, an omen from Revelation, and they're like, "Yeah, let's write a book about that." Since basically a blood moon happens, every time there's a lunar eclipse, basically.
Yeah.
And those happen every so often. You can plan them all out, which is a great book release schedule.
Ooh,
You know?
nice. I didn't think about that.
So yeah, it's built in.
Wasn't it you who was telling me that one of the reasons why the rapture or the tribulation is such a big topic? I think it's the rapture nowadays is because John Hagee said something about it being like a salvation issue.
Yeah, and it blew my mind when I heard him say.
Have you heard this, Pete?
So
No.
I mean, we don't exactly like subscribe to John Hagee's newsletter. Or anything,
Yeah,
but
no. I mean, there's a lot of debate.
Did it come? Did it get here yet?
Where is it? I can't wait. But he did fart on a couch next to me one time in Classic Recording Studios. So, yeah. Which is about the same, actually, as, listening to his sermon.
Mud moon.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, so anyway, yeah.
Poor
So there was, some Christians believe that the rapture will happen before the tribulation.
Right.
Some Christians believe that the rapture will happen halfway through. Some Christians believe the rapture will happen after the tribulation. Some people believe the tribulation already happens.
Yep.
There isn't really a rapture the way it's being taught. That just happens at the very end when Christ returns. And all that other stuff happen.
Again, because I'm Catholic, we don't have a rapture. That stuff was made up by some dude in the
that's
1880s here
Yeah.
in America. So,
John Nelson Darby.
Yeah, like to me, it's like,
Yeah.
I firmly believe there was one church instituted by Jesus Christ. He turned to a guy named Peter and said, "You're in charge," and then he ascended into heaven. And then, for 1400 years that was the case. Then the Eastern Church got in a fight with the Western Church and they split, but the Orthodox Church is still pretty based. If I never left the Catholic Church, the only place to go is the Orthodox Church. And then dudes founded their own denominations, and this was this was dudes. It was just dudes. It was like, I'm Martin Luther. I don't like listening to the Pope, following rules. So here I am. I'm starting my own church. I mean, and then now what do we have? 40,000 denominations. Everybody believes something different.
Yep.
Among them.
Yep.
And 70% of Christians support abortion. They support same-sex marriage. They support all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah. And they get so worked up over those little points of doctrine that have nothing really to do with redemption, salvation, atonement, the big issues. And John Hagee is a person who firmly believes that the rapture is going to happen before the tribulation. That's his, the common evangelical.
Well, that's certainly what people want to hear. So.
That's what people want to hear. And he basically said that people who don't believe in a pre-tribulation rapture won't get to enjoy the pre-tribulation rapture. They'll be left behind, essentially, is what he was insinuating. If you don't believe in it, you're lost. You're hopeless.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
I can't get down with any of that. I think a
No.
lot of that stuff. I mean, you got dudes like Ron Wyatt is like, oh, I found the Ark of the Covenant. Sure, you did, buddy.
Yeah.
And then you got people claiming the third temple. I don't look. The third temple's never going to be built. It's never going to happen. They're never going to build a third temple. It's just not going to happen. I don't think it's scripturally sound. I don't think it is politically or realistically possible. If anything, you're going to have somebody come along and build a one world religion temple.
Yeah.
You know, and it won't be the third temple dedicated to Yahweh. It'll be dedicated to the one world religion. It'll be run by the Antichrist. You know, they'll probably worship Moloch in there or something crazy like that.
And it'll be AI.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So I don't buy into it. I reject most evangelical Protestant beliefs. And you know, to me, if you're not Catholic, you're Protestant. Whether you're a Baptist or a Methodist, you know, like you're just a Protestant. You know, so we disagree. Yeah. Theologically, we disagree. You know, I believe there's no salvation outside of the church. That's my own personal thing, you know. I mean, but that's how I roll.
Very Catholic doctrine.
Yeah.
You would expect a Catholic to believe that.
If you're Catholic, then I think you should. You know? It's like, there are some faiths in this world that people are scared to mock. I'm not going to name names
because you might get stabbed on a street,
because you could get stabbed. Or, you know, your life will be ruined, you know, and that's not because they wield incredible power. It's because they're willing to defend what they believe in.
Yes. Yeah.
And too many Christians are like, oh, just turn the other cheek. Oh, I'll keep turning the other cheek. Oh, please take my wife. Oh, you know, like, you know,
take
like,
my children. It's fine. We'll all be together in heaven.
Right on the altars of Baal. Here we go. You know?
Dude, it drives me crazy. Everybody, you know, I've said it. You probably heard me say it 1,000 times on the channel. Everybody knows what to do with turn the other cheek. No one knows what to do with sell your cloak and buy a sword.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and that's why Orthodox Church, like going to an Orthodox church, sounds just like you say. They're pretty based.
They are pretty based, man. I saw this thing. I didn't know they existed. They got the Orthodox use this prayer rope. It's got like 100 beads on it. They got a 33, a 50, and 100. And, you know, it's got beads on it, kind of like a rosary, but it's simpler. They only say one prayer on each bead, whereas the rosary is a little more complicated. But a lot of Catholics have been adopting this practice that's normally reserved for the Eastern Church, at least in the traditionalist circles that I've been, you know, following.
Yeah.
But, I mean, traditional Latin Mass, you know, the Novus Ordo stuff, they got altar girls and liturgical dancers and guitar masses. Yeah, it's just...
The interpretive ribbon dancers, you know?
Like that's nonsense to me. That is like, that doesn't belong in the Catholic Church at all, like in my opinion.
Yeah.
Or chick
But
priest.
I'm not Pope, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that Vatican II ripple.
Vatican II was a mistake. Yeah. Everything since Vatican II has been in decline. And I guess the attempt with Vatican II was to get more butts in the pews by modernizing. But it's, you know, something should remain timeless. Something should stand like monolith in the face of time and culture and society.
Thank you.
Know?
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think there'll ever be a reunification between the East and the Western Church?
Not unless the Western Church gets a lot more based than it is. You know, like if there was a true like Pope to come along and institute the kind of reforms that need to be instituted and stand up for the faith like a lion.
Francis isn't doing that great right now.
The communist who practices liberation theology. He's not going to do any of that. You know,
liberation theology.
You know, that to me is as bad as the prosperity gospel. It's just like it's antithetical to the gospels. It's nonsense.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, and I think liberation theology is dangerous. Look what it's done in South America.
Yep.
And this guy's Pope. You know, like I don't expect it to get better. You know, I expect the next Pope will probably be even worse than this one, unless it's Cardinal Sarah, because he's pretty base. But I mean, it's very not likely to be him.
Yeah.
You know, who knows?
Well, even dude, that infests the Protestant church as well. I mean, when I was going to Grace Point and I was going through ordination class, like, you know, that liberation theology was a big part of that. And the intellectualization. You know, one thing I noted, pride is the biggest. Happy June, everyone. Pride is the worst sin you could commit. You know,
it's basically at the top of the list.
Yeah, it brought low the mightiest archangel. So, you know, and I think a big reason of that, and I kind of like explored it in Empyrean Falling, because that's about, Lucifer's transformation into Satan and the rebellion and all that stuff, and fantasy, but still. But his intellect, was so vast that his pride would not let him humble himself before the throne. And we as humans, I did that, Pete, for 5 years. Yeah,
we all do.
I was an atheist for 5 years because I wasn't mad at God. I wasn't mad at dad, or mad at mommy. I just it didn't make sense to me anymore. And if I couldn't rationalize it, it was a grievous thing. It was like I was mourning the death of my faith because it didn't make sense up here anymore.
Yep.
And that was, you can think yourself right into atheism,
100%.
Oh God, yeah, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
That's the trick.
Yeah.
You're smarter. I'm smarter than this. I'm not going to be fooled by this.
Right.
And how many, for example, how many of these man children are obsessed with Star Wars?
I know. Yeah.
I don't even like. I don't know what you're talking about.
Fantasy, but Luke Skywalker. Oh my God, Disney Plus. Are there even men left in Star Wars? Are there any guys left in Star Wars
anymore?
Not anymore.
Mandalorian, arguably.
I mean, they're doing their best.
There are no superhero guys left, I don't think.
No.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because I thought they bought those properties because they couldn't appeal to little boys to begin with. I mean, they had the little girl market corner with all the princess stuff, but way to really ruin that.
They equitied that one right into oblivion, And now if you go to Disneyland and you see a princess, he might not be a princess.
Well, I saw that video too. That was
cringe.
That's a horse of a different color.
Yeah. I am not.
And a mustache and a dress and eyeshadow.
And some very strong deodorant, to go along with his imbalanced pH levels from all the hormone treatments.
You're talking about pride and how you can rationalize. Your intelligence can lead you into pride and atheism.
Yeah.
I want to get your opinion on what you think a artificial superintelligence might lead people into.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that AI is just it, man. That's the it's the end of it all. It's more dangerous than nuclear weapons. If you consider, perhaps, all right, I'll entertain this for a minute. If by chance there were extraterrestrials that were sufficiently advanced, then they themselves would have probably crafted artificial intelligence. This artificial intelligence would likely have outlived them, whether it got rid of them or just outlasted them. This artificial intelligence would eventually go out into space and probably look for new sources of resources to continue to replicate and to power themselves. So if anything's going to come out of the sky, it'll probably be a robot. And if we should make the mistake of creating something, like letting that Pandora's box get open here on this planet, what's to stop something like this from creating an ocean of nanobots to just wipe out organic life because it sees us as parasitic?
And it happens like that.
It'd be over. It'd be an ocean of gray goo. There'd be nothing left but microscopic robots that devour organic material.
Have we opened that box? Do you think we've already opened Pandora's box, or do you think we're not quite there?
I don't think we're there yet. It's like with human cloning. I think we still have time to outlaw something like this.
Yeah.
And I think artificial intelligence should be stopped right where it is now.
Yes,
there's no reason it should go any further.
Well, and how does it,
what does it benefit anybody?
Honestly, there's a great channel on YouTube. I think it's just called Moon. And he explores a lot of this stuff from kind of a based perspective. And he said in one of his videos about AI that came out earlier this week, he was talking about how a company in China, of course, where else, implemented AI to run its business. And it was making pretty substantial profits. And it's like, oh, of course, you're gonna use it, but the thing is, like, no one ever thinks beyond their desires. It's like, I think you and I maybe were talking about it last night with politics, and how, or maybe it was this morning about politics, about how, like, people want to institute these rules but like 4 years from now, those rules that you implemented will be available to the opposition. So like it goes beyond your immediate low impulse control gratification to like institute this AI for something, because what can happen on the back end that isn't part of your desire can really mess you up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword. Swings both ways.
And to your point, you said, I was Jay Reese Bradley's in the chat, and she has a YouTube channel where she interviews authors, and I got to. She interviewed me. I got to be on her channel again earlier today, and we were talking about AI. And one of the questions we were asking is, what is AI the solution? What's the problem that we're trying to solve with AI? Can somebody please tell me what the problem was? That AI is the solution to.
It's not a faster car.
Well, according to the elites, there's too many of us. So after whatever comes down the road for us, there will be AI to fill in the gaps, to do all the jobs that people don't want to do. We'll have more time on our hands to pursue other things.
With our UBI and our CBDC.
Exactly.
And our 15-minute cities.
Here's your bugs and marijuana. Get back in your pod, hooked up to your YouTube and your Netflix and your Disney, and consume.
Yeah.
Here's your weekly allotment.
Well, that's like, I think that's why because you really do have to think about this. Why is the transgenderism movement protected by the government? I mean, it goes beyond just this ideology of, human rights and the extension of human rights, because it's such an infinitesimal percentage of the population. But yet it is blown massively out of proportion. Corporations sponsor it. Governments, want to protect it. And it almost seems like it's a psyop, a depopulation psyop at this point. That's preying on damaged, hurt people.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a little bigger than that. I think what we've seen is the formation of a new religion. It has no God, but it has creed. It has dogma. It has doctrine. You can be shunned or ostracized. It has punishment for sin. It has original sin. You can be born a certain color, and that makes you a colonizer, or you have a privilege that other people don't have. So there's the original sin, that comes along with this new religion, and the problem I have with this religion is that it doesn't have the balls to call itself one. It can't say that we're, this is our godless
perfect
cult,
choice of words,
and,
too.
This is what we want.
Yeah, very poor choice of words, Pete.
Absolutely
That's
right.
genius.
But it doesn't, and it is. I thought these people lived for separation of church and state, but they don't. They live to push Christianity out of the public square.
That's exactly right.
And it's only Christianity.
That's
only
100%.
Christianity, because they'll roll out the red carpet for other religions, other monotheistic religions who I will not name. They will roll out the red carpet for them.
Who, by the way, other religions, monotheistic religions, that will cut your head off for doing the thing that we're letting you do.
Absolutely. So it is a horrible hypocrisy, but that's what other religions do when they supplant religion, a popular religion. When Atonism came along in Egypt, he tried to supplant the pantheon of gods with a monotheistic idea. It did not work. But when Christianity came along, it supplanted the pagan world. It replaced it. It conquered most of the known world with its message.
Why do you think that is, Pete?
Why do I think Christianity was radical. It resonated with people. It made the divine accessible in a way that had not existed before. And the promise that it has is true. And likewise, it's like somebody made a comment in my chat the other day. Oh, there are 400,000 gods, but yours is the one who's right. I said, yeah, there's 400,000 gods, but there's only one empty tomb.
Ooh. Amen, brother. Nice.
So
the preacher, man, I love this,
dude. I'm telling you, you are built for
good
dark
stuff.
sayings.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
But I mean, that's how it works, man. That's why I believe it, because it's true. But it is a new religion, and I thought these people believed in separation of church and state, but they don't. When it's their religion, they want it injected into the state,
Right.
injected into corporations, injected into the media, and
Injected into your children.
yeah, literally,
Literally.
literally by hook or by crook.
Yeah.
Yep.
Honestly. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. It is a massive hypocrisy. And I recognize that when I worked in that corporate office, you know, which was a very like NPC normie kind of blue team environment. And it was, man, like you can mention any religion, any deity, but you quote the Bible, people get uptight.
Mhm.
And then if you quote the New Testament, there's some hardcore puckering going on, you know. And that tells you, like, that is a canary in the coal mine, you know. If no one gets
Absolutely.
uptight about Ishtar or like, you know, Zoroaster, you know, or you know, any of the other ones, then it's like, okay, well, maybe that's because it's just like it's not true, you know.
yeah, it's not like, you know, nobody's gonna fight you in the street if you go out there preaching about Zeus.
Right.
Nobody's gonna care.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, one of the biggest we got to get to 5 minute free.
Yeah.
We're having too much fun. One of the I want your opinion on this, but like I've been thinking a lot about what you were saying about how, you know, there is all this stuff in the Old Testament, especially that's pretty wild, you know, that you're working through and reading dark sayings and everything. And it just made me realize that growing up, Greek mythology was always sold to you in Egyptian mythology as like this wild, colorful, weird fantasy. But no one ever preached about the stuff in the Bible that is just as wild and colorful, you know?
Well, you know, I think there's a good reason for that because there's a reverence for what's written in the Bible, and for most of society, the the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Norse, all that stuff's just fantasy. You know, like anybody who believed in it with a zealous nature has been dead for thousands of years, and anybody who believes in it now is a neo-pagan who's just making stuff up as they go along because most of these people didn't write down what they actually believed.
Yeah.
So they've been making it up whole cloth since the 50s when the Wicca movement started. You know, so now you got people out there who worship Odin. They have no idea what the Vikings actually practice religiously. My favorite is when people are like druids, and you know, the druids didn't write a thing down.
Yeah.
But somehow these neo druids are like, you know, I worship the sun and the moon, and the ancient druids never did that. People just make stuff up. You know, they're playing. It's like playing pretend. You know, it's like this. Yeah, it's almost like with the pronoun thing. Yeah, unless you are a person who's living one of these alternative lifestyles, why would you have pronouns in your bio?
Oh, dude, no kidding.
You know, the same reason you have a Ukraine flag. You're going to stand up for Ukraine. You couldn't stand up to the school board when they're putting pornography in the library.
Preach,
baby. Yes.
Yeah.
Keep going, Pete. 100%. Yeah. It is like normie bandwagon group think. It's that RK theory thing. Have you ever heard of the RK theory thing? You know, that there are two species types in most animals, and it applies to humans politically. There's the R type and the K type. The R type are like your rabbits. They're prey animals, and they sustain themselves by just cheap Zerg rush style breeding. You know, just and they don't fight. And if a predator comes in, they all run away. You know, and if one of them stands up to the predator, then all the others, like in A Bug's Life, they all crush him so the predator won't punish them more. Right. And then there's the K theory animals who are like wolves. They're fewer and far between. They invest heavily in their offspring. They don't have a ton of offspring, you know, and they typically are apex predators, you know, or some form high on the hierarchy. And so like so much of this political and ideological stuff, whether it's Ukraine or what's been going on the past few years, or, you know, the alphabet agenda, you know, all of that stuff is just like safe R theory personality type, you know. It's just like, hey, Budweiser wants you to do it, and Ford wants you to do it, and the government says it's okay, and so it's just safe to believe that. You know, it's like at my job, which will remain nameless, they wouldn't let a conservative talk show rent out one of their spaces because they want to maintain their 501c3 status, but they will let a gay guy come on there and do a Dolly Parton show where he's like praying to Dolly Parton as his spirit animal, and that's not considered political. And dude, that's in Tennessee. Yeah.
Oh,
right? And so you and I look at that
nowhere anymore. There's nowhere anymore. You know, there's this idea. There's a book. It's a book, actually. I think it's called The Benedict Option.
The Benedict
This is an idea. This is an idea that was cooked up by some Catholics. Essentially, the idea is to move out into the middle of nowhere on a bunch of land and build a castle and a town around it, you know, and just be left alone, you know, not necessarily the castle, but maybe a monastery or something like that, you know, to build a community around a church, around a monastery, out in the middle of nowhere, start fresh, you know, get away from all this nonsense and start over with people who actually care.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, the Benedict option. It's not really feasible. It sounds great on paper, though. I'll tell you, you know,
it's very appealing, isn't it?
It really is. You know, let's get 200,000 acres and build a fortress.
Yeah. Pete, when the balloon goes up and you need to relocate, come to Tennessee, baby. I got places.
Yeah.
I looked at a few places in Tennessee the other day. I like West Virginia quite a bit. I looked at Kentucky a little. You know, we're not looking to move anytime soon, but you know, maybe in the next half decade.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope we're all still around so that we get you a little closer. You know.
Oh, we'll all still be around suffering this.
God's not going to let us off the hook that easily.
You know what? Here's I'm waiting on the two witnesses. I'm not really going to start panicking until the two witnesses.
Yeah, there you go.
On. When the two witnesses are struck in the street and they lie there for 3 days and the world rejoices and they send gifts to each other over it, then I'm going to be like, okay, this is the end times. I think there's a lot of signs and wonders going on right now, but you know, when the two witnesses come along, it's pretty clear things are getting there. Maybe when the beast rises up out of the sea, who knows? You know. But,
and you know what?
You know, I think the two witnesses will be a pretty big deal.
I just hope. I know it won't be. But I just hope it's an actual chimerical beast rising out of the sea. Can we just make it fun a little bit?
I'm with you. I think that'd be great.
I honestly, I hope every day that today is the day Jesus comes screaming out of the sky to torch this world to a cinder.
Yes,
and he will.
Just torch it, man. Like. Even if I'm alive for it, even if I roast in hell with everybody else, like
just want to see it.
The world needs righteous judgment, Old Testament style, you know.
Yeah, dogma, baby.
In fire and blood, man.
We need Matt Damon with a Desert Eagle to just kick it indoors, you know. Well, that's the thing, man. Everybody talks about, you know, soft Christians. I think it was Nietzsche who said, "You're, you know, a lot of." Ideology is really just coward, or a lot of virtue is really just cowardice. You know, I think there's a lot of Christian pacifism, or a lot of cowardice that's masquerading as Christian pacifism, and then the world always wants to gaslight you and tell you, you know, well, love is love. It's like, well, define love, because like if I had a child and I loved that child, I would love that child enough to spank them if they needed to be spanked in order to keep them from doing something that was going to really hurt them. You know, but the world doesn't have any concept of love. Love. It's just like this narcissistic, pathological compassion.
Well, look at you know. I think it goes back to this. Once you were able to take something like marriage, which meant a very specific thing, and turn that, twist it, change it into meaning something else.
Yeah.
Then the door was open to just abuse language and change it in any direction you want. So, I mean, you had a challenge on what marriage meant, because marriage, I mean, you know, it's like, if it looks like a duck, it's probably a duck. But I mean, hat, that doesn't make him a cowboy. You know what I mean? Marriage is marriage. Marriage is a thing between a man and a woman, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Once you change the definition of that, you can change the definition of anything else. Now these people can't even tell you what a woman is.
They literally can't define what a woman is.
Can't even
no, if you feel like a woman, you're a woman. Get out of here.
Yeah, Shania Twain nailed it. I feel like a woman. Yeah. I think it's Shania Twain.
Yeah,
I don't know.
why isn't that song canceled?
Yeah, right.
Like a woman, as in she's not one.
Yeah.
But she's likening herself to one.
How dare she? You know what? Oh, it didn't.
There it is.
There it is. There's a delay. Yeah, I had the stream deck with "It's Luciferian" keyed up on it, so and it failed massively. So.
Yeah, well, it wasn't ready.
Whatever.
We got to get to 5-minute freak questions.
Yeah, let's do 5-minute freak. Dude, Pete, you're so much fun to talk to. This is so cathartic.
I always love coming.
Dude, we
Same here, man.
We have to set up something regular on this because this is awesome. Okay, 5-minute freak. Nick, you want to take it away?
Yeah. Okay, so 7 questions. Number 1, and we go through these kind of rapid fire.
Okay.
Tell us one of your favorite jokes.
No, I don't think anything's funny.
Perfect. All right. Number 2. If you could relive any decade, which one would it be and why?
The 90s, because I don't remember them too well.
You like not remembering things.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to do it again and see what happens.
All right. Fair enough.
Partied pretty hard back then.
Number 3. What's the nicest thing you've ever seen a stranger do?
I'm from Philly. I've only seen strangers do really messed up stuff.
What? I still want to tag up. Let's just keep going. I still want to tag up on that. Though. So
you know what? This wasn't supposed to be one of the official questions, but it was just a joke. But people are answering it anyway.
Yeah.
If you were a Marvel character, how gay would you be?
So gay. The gayest one.
Speaking of real heroes, who is your greatest hero, living or dead, and why?
My dad.
Oh, that's cool.
Why your dad?
He's my dad.
Good answer, Pete. Because he's your dad.
Because he's supposed to be.
Because right?
For real. I mean, too many people are like, oh, Luke Skywalker, man. Oh, Batman. Oh, look, I got to preface this. I hate nerds. I grew up loving all this nerd stuff, and I was not a cool kid. You don't wind up a punk rocker because you're popular and on the football team.
Right.
You know, it's either like you either learn to throw a football or learn to play guitar. Otherwise, you're going to be spending a lot of time with Rosie Palm and her 5 sisters. So, you know, I went the other route. I played, I learned to get into music and all that good stuff. But, I was always into the nerdy things because that's what, entertained me. Now everybody's into it, and it's utterly ruined by, people who don't understand it, don't like it, and don't want me to pay for it anymore. So I don't.
Yeah. Right. And people who want to and it's become co-opted by the political weaponized NPC culture.
Yep.
Of just whoa, Luke Skywalker was gay because he didn't kiss his sister. It's why? Why do you have to gay up?
Who cares? This is not an aspect of the story. I don't need to know.
Yeah, there are 3 movies. There are 3 movies, and there's 2 seasons of Mandalorian. Everything else, you don't need. I mean, you don't need any of it. But
any of it anymore. I'm done. With all of it. Done with it. It's nerd stuff. I don't care. I'm over nerd stuff.
I love it.
Anybody who's still spending money on it is naive. I think most grown men, you turn on these YouTube channels, you'll see some 50-year-old man. He's got a wall of and comic books behind thousands of dollars, but he's mortgage or a wife. Nice dude. You're doing good for yourself.
Yeah, you're really batting 1,000,
dude. They'll be bagging and boarding you into a coffin at an empty funeral,
dressing you up in your Jedi robe.
Yeah, all alone. Maybe a couple guys from work will show up. Who knows?
It's the Legion of the Terminal Virgins. The Terminal Virgin.
Dog ain't gonna take care of you when you're old, man.
Yeah. No Force Ghost is gonna come back for you.
Yeah.
If you were forced to participate in the Olympics, which country would you compete for? What would be your sport?
I compete for the US of A, and I'd be an Asian belt fighter.
What's that?
It's not real.
Pete's deadpan delivery is the
Take off your
funniest.
belt, you start slapping people.
I mean, I just picture 2 Filipino men standing across from each other in a very small circle, shirtless, with a couple of leather belts, just whipping at each other. Yeah.
That's it.
Oh,
That's
he got
it.
the buckle
Got it
penalty.
right. It's dead on. Asian belt fighter. That would be dirty pool. You got to hold it by the buckle.
Right.
You can't
That's
swing
right.
the buckle at him. That's like using the elbow in boxing.
I went down to Oak Ridge, Tennessee, probably 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and had a pair of Marine counter snipers from the first Gulf War build my first FAL with me, teach me how to build my first FAL. And they said that when they were in the Gulf War, like one of the things they would do when they were bored, because they're Marines, is they would get garden hoses and they would do that to each other for like 2 minutes. One would stand on one side and just try to block all the strikes, and the other would just try to whip him with the garden hose. It's like, God.
That's not bad. You know, me and my band used to set mouse traps on fire and throw them at each other.
Naked.
Called a flaming mouse trap.
Yeah, but were you naked?
No.
Oh, okay, well, that's not that bad then.
Were these guys naked?
I don't know. I mean,
let's take off our clothes off and hit each other with hoses, dude. Yeah,
I was going to make a Marine joke, but Cactus is in here and he might beat me up. I'm sorry. Okay, anyways. Let's go.
If you were stranded on a desert island with only one book, Bible excluded, what book would it be? Well, what book would you want?
Oh, man, that's tough. Maybe 100 Years of Solitude. Gabriel Garcia Marquez. That's one of my favorites. It's a pretty good book.
One of our Cactus. I spoiler.
Yeah.
But yeah, our
I got to read that book.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're the second person to say that, Pete. Yeah.
Oh, it's a great story. I'm thankful they haven't made a movie out of it because they really ruined it.
Really?
Yeah, of course they'd ruin it. Oh, man.
Well, if they made it, yeah.
It'd
I
be
mean,
terrible.
let's maybe.
If they made it now, but I think you know, if they would have made it 20 years ago, it probably would have been decent. But if they made it now, they'd ruin it pretty good. But yeah, 100 Years of Solitude, great book. Very, it's kind of like a fantasy, but it's not. It's like realistic. I mean, there's fantasy elements to it. There's a ghost at one part of it. And, everything's kind of mythical in a way, but it's not over the top. It's not like there's dragons and sword fights and stuff like that. But it's got a real like mystic quality to
cool.
it.
Is it what's 100 Years of Solitude or 1,000 years?
100 Years of Solitude. Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
Cool.
I believe he won a Nobel Prize for the
Wow.
book as well.
I've heard it before. Yeah. I've never read it though. Good answer. Cool stuff. Man, Pete, this has been so much fun. Normally, like, our guests are like somewhere between half an hour to 45 minutes, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
If like Nick did not have to get the kids to bed, we could do like 45 minutes easily. This has been awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, man. I always enjoy it. With you guys.
I think we need to figure out a way to like maybe do this quarterly or something. Just get it on the books.
That's
every blood moon.
Yes. Yeah. There we go.
The Blood Moon Breakdown.
Yeah.
That's right. Blood Moon Boogaloo.
Church of What's Cool.
Blood Moon Boogaloo.
Blood Moon Boogaloo.
With dark sayings at the Church of What's Cool. Yes. Yeah. With your Grand Vizier, Pete of Dark Sayings, formerly known as Creepy Little Book. Yeah. We can make this happen. I'll never have your voice, Pete, but I'm going to try.
It's all about the bass. You got to drop it if you want
right.
to. The esoteric to the extraterrestrial.
Dude, it's awesome. Pete, love you, buddy. You are the best. Thank you. Always fun having you.
Thank you, guys.
Dark Sayings is the channel. Go check it out. And I think the only way for people to get in touch with you is Twitter. Is that the best way for people to reach you?
No, my DMs are open everywhere. So like, there's Instagram at Dark Sayings of Old. Twitter is Dark Sayings of Old. No, I think Twitter's the Dark Sayings. And I'm on Facebook as well. I don't use Facebook a lot, but you can get a hold of me through Messenger. I encourage people to get at me on Instagram though. Like they just shoot me an Instagram DM, and I'm really easy to get a hold of there. That's where I'm most active. You can get a hold of me on Twitter. I'm pretty spicy on Twitter lately.
Nice.
So be forewarned. I've been a bit of a troll on Twitter lately.
We're allowed to be now.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to tell a pervert they're a pervert.
Yes.
So I've been letting people know that they're perverts lately.
Good. You're doing the Lord's work, Pete.
Yeah, that's right. If you're supposed to rebuke the sinner, not tolerate them,
Yeah,
rebuke
certainly
them.
not accept them.
J. Reese Bradley says she still thinks you look like Dave Grohl. I concur. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, you know what? I'm thinking about getting a shave and a haircut. I've been kind of itchy.
It is getting hot, baby.
It's getting hot and itchy.
Hot and itchy. I'm thinking about shaving, but I don't know. It's been so long. I'm afraid I'll look weird if I shave it off. I'll look weird to myself. I'll be like, who's this dude in the mirror? You know? Also, I'm worried there's another chin under here that I don't want to see.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this does.
You know, you get a little bit older, everything starts falling apart.
Yep. Before you know it.
A little soft around the edges, you know, got to lose about 20 pounds.
I'm with you. Yep. It's that blood pressure. Move to Tennessee. We won't work out together, but we'll have fun.
Yeah, come down here and let's not work out together. It'll be great.
We can sit around, maybe eat salty things. I like chicken.
Yeah.
I get this natural hot chicken spice. Maybe I can get real natural hot chicken.
Dude.
Yes.
Because all I've been doing is getting frozen stuff and cheap imitations. I want the real thing.
Oh, man, we got some space. We got a couple places down here that'll light you up.
I'm so down. Yeah.
Awesome.
And we'll get you shooting some guns. How about that?
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, man.
Dope. See? Yeah. All right. Cool. Pete, thank you again. You're the best.
Thank you.
We will we'll talk to you at the next Blood Moon.
Oh yeah, and like I said, I'll be live in about a half hour on my own channel. So if you guys aren't doing anything,
go over to Dark Sayings.
Yes, everybody go to Dark Sayings and subscribe and give him a like and drop a comment and tell Pete how much you enjoy his presence on YouTube because he has been around for a long time.
Thank you so
is
much.
OG, and based AF. We love Pete.
Have a great night.
See you later.
Bye bye. Pete of Dark Sayings. Formerly Creepy Little Book. Dark Sayings is an awesome channel, and we love what Pete's doing. It's incredible. So we are always honored to have him on.
Yeah,
and we're looking forward to having it back. And now that we're doing Thursdays, it's so much easier.
Yeah,
it's oh my gosh, this is like such a blessing.
Yeah, we were able to make room for bringing back some of our old guests, introducing some new ones.
Yeah,
and when we can't do that in the middle of the week, we can still have a little fun.
Yeah. We've had a great chat, by the way. I'm sorry we didn't like read some of the chats. We're having so much fun talking to Pete, but Talia is here. Hoffcast. I want to give a shout out to Hoffcast. I know you have your own channel and you're on Pete's channel a lot of times. So
bring it up on the screen here.
Really appreciate you being here. And then Gabriel Bello Music, our buddy Gabe, has been in here. Along with Jay Reese, Ian Brown, Cactus, Aberforth. What's up, man? I know you've recently discovered our channel. We're happy to have you here as well. So, and Chris Caps. Yeah, thanks for being here, Chris.
Yeah, man.
It was here. We've had a lot of like really cool people in the chat, and the conversation has been a lot of fun.
Oh, sure. I put the chat up on the screen. Everyone stops commenting. What's that all about, you lurkers? Come on.
No, I mean, everybody turtles up a little when the spotlight comes over them.
No, this is a bold, friendly chat.
Let your freak flag fly.
I mean, I'm putting my face on this, guys. You can put at least a couple comments. There we go. Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, cool. Hoffcast says, awesome show. Me and Pete are good friends. Dude, I'm kind of jealous. Like, Pete's awesome. I always love talking to Pete.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. Honestly, this has been my favorite interview with him.
Absolutely.
My favorite one. I mean, just to hear him just dropping the truth.
Yeah.
Really preaching it, man. Like the conviction is like really there.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's so cool and refreshing to see because Pete, for the longest time, he would pre-record his videos, do like 6-7 minute videos, and they were very structured, objective, just presenting the information, very professorial. Professorial,
smart.
Yes, big smart,
very teachery.
Yep, smart brain, big smart brain, good pants.
He'd be a. You know what? I should go back and rewrite Henry Half Moon, and Professor Shipley should be based off of Pete.
Save Pete for the sequel.
Okay.
And have him be a good professor
that Henry doesn't trust.
Yeah, like a who's Gary Oldman from Harry Potter, Sirius Black, type.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, good idea.
Well, and then Pete started doing the live stream thing, and that's always been really cool. It's been really good, and he's really good about interacting in the chat.
Yeah.
Way better than I am. But then his transition over into the Dark Sayings territory, that happened right after we interviewed him the second time, when he kind of like
Made that transition.
Yeah, from being just I'm not gonna give my opinion. I'm just gonna present the information and let you guys figure it out, which is noble, admirable, But to see him like get, off the sidelines and in the trenches, sort of, and actually start sharing his opinion, like it's so funny that it's ironic that people like call him a Satanist or or devil worshiper or anything, or a pagan. It's like, dude, Pete's probably more based than you are, you know.
Speaking of Sirius Black, I love Ian's comment. Sirius Black's what they call Clarence Thomas.
Sirius Black.
Yeah, Chief Justice of the Order of the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sirius Black's my favorite character too.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I like Lupin a lot because David Thewlis is cool. But let's see. Dude, Aberforth says, dude, the mix of native and occult current world is displaying without knowing it is finally leaking out. Yeah. There's a lot of it's all that permissiveness stuff, man. And that equity and the persecution, of the reigning powers that be demographically, and I mean, like, I think that replacement theory thing is real, anyways.
Could be.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be that way, But man, government sure does want it. So,
what is this?
Is
he talking about Gary Oldman?
Did
Did Gary Oldman play
I'm not sure.
a character named Long Dong Silver?
Either him or David Thewlis. I'm not sure. But I'll tell you, I was talking to Mike Fisher about this. Mike Fisher has impeccable taste in movies, by the way. I say that because we have almost identical taste in movies. And we were talking about Kingdom of Heaven, and I was telling him, I think I maybe mentioned it on here before. There's like a 20-minute video on YouTube about David Thewlis's Hospitaller Knight character in Kingdom of Heaven actually being an angel in all the evidence for it in the movie, and like it makes his performance and that movie 10 times cooler, So yeah, I kind of got a soft spot for David Thewlis, man. He's pretty dope in that movie. So
Aberforth says he was referring to Clarence Thomas.
No. Oh, Silver. Hi-yo.
Oh, yeah, that's right. The trials of Clarence Thomas. I remember that. Yes, that's right. She said he had her call him. That's and you know what? We were talking about how,
boy, there's a backhand
like in
comment
today's world with social media, like nobody has a memory. We have short memories. Yeah, until you're like in a political office.
Oh yeah, then all of a sudden,
then everyone remembers everything you ever did, and even makes up stuff.
Yeah,
about your past. They find something that you did or said that was recorded somehow 11 years ago, and they use it against you. And they're like, you know what? I don't know if I'll ever run for political office.
Oh, you know what?
I don't think I can do it.
In a way, I would totally not mind running for political office because I'd just treat it the way 45 did. And just be like, yeah, that chick didn't like me. Yeah, that chick got mad, Yeah, I said that. I tweeted that. I don't know. Whatever. It's 20 years ago. Don't vote for me.
What did Trump call Rosie O'Donnell?
Disgusting pig. Is that what it was?
So presidential.
I mean, like, it's.
I didn't
like
say it was wrong. I just said,
Yeah. I think that's the way to do it in politics, is to just like just be like, yeah, okay, don't vote for me. Oh, you're mad? Okay, I said that 20 years ago. I'm not going to apologize for something I did 20 years ago. I mean, I'm not even going to say.
Why weren't you mad 20 years ago?
Yeah, and I'm not even going to say I was a different person back then. Like, no, I thought that was funny. And you know what? Honestly, it's still funny. So, like, I don't know. Get mad. Get mad. So, get mad. Go on, get mad. You gonna cry? You gonna cry? You gonna cry? You gonna wear big soft tears? You gonna get mad? Your feelers gonna get all hurt? Yeah, I think that's the way to do it in politics. Is just like not care.
I guess so.
Yeah. So okay, let's see. Everybody's talking about Return to Oz, and nope, Jay, that movie's weird. We don't like it. So sorry.
No Return to Oz, huh?
No, I got nothing for that. It's weird. I don't like it. Yeah. It is kind of like Never Ending Story. You know, I mean, Never Ending Story is like more palatable, but also still kind of like depressing. Weirdly enough.
Never Ending Story.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
The kids didn't really like it.
Yeah, that's a not feel good movie.
No. Same with Dark Crystal.
Yeah,
Very dark.
You know, it's so weird how like some movies like get made because it's like, what's your target demographic? I remember thinking that with Legend, with Tom Cruise and Tim Curry and Mia Sara. You know, like that is an awesome movie, not just from a production standpoint, but from just a conceptual standpoint. And it's got like this amazing story structure and all these like iconic things in it. And it's very visually just brilliant. You know, it's an amazing movie, but it's way too dark for kids. So it's like, who's into this movie?
Yeah.
Like, who is this movie made for? Like, Ridley Scott directed it, you know? And I just am like, it's like too, aside from its concept, it's like it's too kiddie for adults because it's a fairy tale, you know? It's like literally a fairy tale. But it's way too like intense for kids. So I don't know, like maybe I'm just
I haven't seen it. Like I saw it once when I was a young teenager.
Right. Yeah, maybe I'm just like a 13-year-old girl. I don't know.
So that makes me, that was not a decade ago.
Yeah.
Or two.
Or three. Keep going. Oh, blackjack.
Well, man, I'm turning into a pumpkin. We got to get
I know,
going.
dude. We got to get out of here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for joining us as we talk to Pete. We absolutely adore Pete, and he really is kind of doing the Lord's work with Dark Sayings.
Yeah.
And, go back and watch his old stuff, but tune into his new stuff. Go over there right now. In fact, it's probably going to be in the next 20 minutes. So check it out. In the meantime, we done?
I think we're done.
Sign off time?
Yeah, sign off time.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for being in the chat. We've, join the Patreon if you want to. Buy the books, do all the things, send the super chats, the super likes, or just click the like, and leave a comment, or don't do anything. Who cares? We love you guys.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
And we'll see you on Sunday.
Yeah, we'll see you guys on Sunday when we are airing Jesse Zabata.
Jesse Zabata. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. At what we're doing, 6 Central?
Yeah, I think 6. Yeah.
Yep.
So, yes. Until then, we hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Thank you for joining us on the first official episode of the Church of What's Cool.
The Church of What's Cool.
As brought to you by the Ministry of the Broken Sword. Until then, I am Jonathan.
It's Luciferian.
And I'm Nick.
I'm your Huckleberry.
And we are the Goslings. Go forth
And strike down the darkness.
vertical punch.